What's going on, guys? Zuco back with another Dragonflight video. I am very, very excited about this one. We're on the Shaman today, and I want to introduce a new build, something that I've just been tinkering with the last couple of days, and I've been having a ton of fun with it. It's very interesting. It's just an experiment. You know, I'm not saying it's the de facto build that you have to play. I just, I really enjoy sort of looking at the talent tree and trying to experiment and see what's going on there. So here's my stats. This is kind of what I'm running. I think I'm in LE, or I'm in Resto right now. So I think if we do this, this is better. So my mastery is almost at 70%. I think there's something else that I could change to get it there, but these are kind of the stats that you're looking for. You don't really need as much crit. Here are the talents. So one quick thing I just want to say is that this week you need to take Poison Cleanse Totem, right? Because of the Afflicted Affix. Even as an LE Shaman, you can just clear an entire Afflicted Affix by yourself every 39 seconds with the Poison Cleanse Totem. So help your healer out. Make sure you take that, okay? On the spec side, let's look at this. We are getting rid of everything on the left side of the tree here, basically. So we don't have Stormkeeper. We don't have Unrelenting Calamity. None of this stuff. We are instead going to take Ice Fury with Electrified Shocks. This is the main change that we're making. In fact, it's not the only change. The build also includes Aftershock plus Elemental Blast instead of like Surge of Power plus Echo Chamber, which is what the normal setup would kind of be. So here's what this build is hoping to kind of accomplish. Number one, you're going to lose some AoE damage for sure. That is, but the thing is right now, our uncapped AoE damage for LE Shaman is abysmal because Earthquake is such a bad ability. Even though they buffed it by 50%, it is still really, really bad. Like, it's really bad. So that's a very frustrating problem for us to deal with. However, it does mean that on certain packs of mobs where like the numbers are a bit lower, say packs of 4 or 5, our damage should be really good, and in fact it will be good. I'm going to show you in a video in a second. I did a couple of keys with it, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But the main difference here is that you take Ice Fury with Electrified Shocks, and you're sort of weaving this into your Primordial Wave window, okay? So instead of having a big Stormkeeper cooldown, you've now got this Ice Fury cooldown. It's half the cooldown of Stormkeeper, though, right? Because it's a 30-second cooldown instead of a minute cooldown. Ice Fury generates 25 Maelstrom on its own, and it can also trigger your mastery, right? Your Lightning Bolt, LE Blast, Ice Fury have a chance to trigger a second time. If your Ice Fury triggers a second time, it generates the Maelstrom a second time. It also does the damage. The damage is almost irrelevant, but it generates an additional 25 Maelstrom. Because we're not going left side of the tree, we're going down the middle, which means we're getting Flow of Power and we're getting Swelling Maelstrom, which means our Maelstrom bar goes up to 150, I believe. This gives us more Maelstrom to work with in total, which also helps us with the Aftershock LE Blast situation. So LE Blast takes half of our Maelstrom, right? 75 times 2 is 150. So you're going to notice that you just have a lot more Maelstrom to kind of work with, which feels really, really good. And you're not like overcapping Maelstrom so much, because with the other build, you're just pressing Lava Burst and you're overcapping all the time, and it kind of feels dumb to me. So instead, we're really utilizing our full Maelstrom bar, and we're getting the extra effect on that. Now, we get to take these, we get the Electrified Shocks, and here's how the rotation kind of works. So again, the generation of 25 Maelstrom from Ice Fury, also you get Frost Shock generating Maelstrom as well. So because of this, your Frost Shocks, they hit 3 additional enemies, and they take 15% increased nature damage from you for 9 seconds. So I'm going to show you this right now. Here's how this build kind of works. You're going to start out the same. Nothing has really changed here, okay? You're going to go Fire Elemental. We're going to do this, Primordial Wave, do a thing, and we're going to start going into our Fire build. I think I missed a Flame Shock. Doesn't really matter. Now, what you're going to be doing is casting Ice Fury inside of this Primordial Wave window. Now, I have my Ice Fury up. My Ice Fury is going to cleave with those Frost Shocks, but I'm still mostly focusing on my Lava Burst combo, right? Primordial Wave. Okay, now we're inside Ascendance. Here we go. I'm just weaving those Frost Shocks in every once in a while on a single target, and it will splash to other targets, so it doesn't really matter which target I'm picking. But this build allows you to funnel damage. Look at my Maelstrom. My Maelstrom's just, I'm generating so much Maelstrom. I got a proc right there. We got to go again. Look at how much Maelstrom we generate, and we can use our LE Blast, and you can funnel all of your damage into one target. Okay, here comes Ice Fury. Look at the Maelstrom it generated. We're back up to full once again. I'm going to press those Frost Shocks. They generate Maelstrom as well. Back in our Primordial Wave window, we'll do another Totem. I'm not doing this properly. I'm just trying to show you how it goes. But you're just filling with these Frost Shocks. The Frost Shocks are doing AoE damage, and they're buffing the damage of your Elemental Blast. That's what's really cool. And you can do this all on one target, okay? So you can make sure that you're funneling down one target, the priority target in the pack that you're looking at. That's what you want to be doing. And we just generate so much Maelstrom. You never have to press Lightning Bolt. You never really press Chain Lightning. You're just doing Frost Shock into Ellie Blast, and then you're getting the reset on your Prime Wave. I let all my Frost Shocks fall up, but that's the idea, okay? I'm going to show you in a key here in a second, but this is kind of how the damage is going to look. Your Frost Shock will end up being 8 to 10% of your damage overall. Your Ellie Blast and your Lava Burst are going to be big there. But you're basically like never pressing Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning because you're filling with this Ice Fury cooldown and the Frost Shocks. They generate crazy amounts of Maelstrom, which lets you press your expensive Elemental Blast and gets you the reset on Lava Burst from Wind Speakers, and you keep that cycle going, right? So it's like having a ton of Maelstrom generation every 30 seconds, and the damage is actually decent on the Frost Shock itself as well. I think that's the most important part, is that when you're in packs of, let's say, like 4 to 5 or something, the damage is actually pretty good. And the other thing that you need to know is that Electrified Shocks, the debuff that your Frost Shock is putting on, it increases the damage that enemies take from your nature spells, which includes Elemental Blast. Elemental Blast counts as all 3 spells, schools of magic. So even on single target, if I Frost Shock this guy, Razan now has the Electrified Shocks debuff on him. That's going to increase my Elemental Blast damage. So it has a small AoE cleave, which is good damage on that pack size, and then it also has a single target buff that you're giving to your Elemental Blast, which is really, really good. You can see our damage here on single target is decent. We're padding a little bit because of the ads. Anytime you get an extra target, it's really, really good. But our damage overall in this boss fight is pretty good. I'm just going to keep fast-forwarding through it because otherwise we're going to be here forever. This is Tyrannical week. This is Tyrannical, Afflicted, and Bolstering, right? We're keeping up with the Rogue right now. He's a little bit ahead of us. I get feared like an absolute idiot. So then we're way behind the Rogue. If I hadn't got feared, everything would have been fine. But this works really, really well because it generates so much Maelstrom for you. I did have to press Lightning Bolt once there, but you basically don't have to press Lightning Bolt. Even in single target, you're mostly just pressing Lava Burst, Primordial Wave into your Elemental Blasts, and then you're, of course, doing your Ice Fury into Frost Shock. And those Frost Shocks don't do a ton of damage on single target, but they put the Electrified Shocks debuff on the enemy, and they generate crazy Maelstrom. That's what you're looking for. Again, we're catching back up to the Rogue here. A little bit behind him by the end. That's okay. That's pretty decent in my mind. Now, here's where the build falls off a little bit. When you have big mass AoE, something like 6 to 10 targets, up to 12 targets, all these little guys here, you're going to see here, I try to do Earthquake a whole bunch. I was trying this build with Earthquake, and it just doesn't work. The damage takes way too long to ramp up. Like, we're doing, you know, over 200k, which is fine, but it's terrible, realistically speaking, right? It's not very good. So here comes my Ice Fury. My Ice Fury is going to clip 4 people here, which is nice, but again, the damage isn't very good, and I was in the early stages of learning this build and learning, like, how this kind of worked, and what I discovered later on, after this key and a couple of other keys, is that, realistically speaking, you should just not press Earthquake. I thought it was a good thing to do because that's, you know, they buff the damage by 50%. It's still just really bad. What you can do instead on an AoE pack like this, you can see I'm pressing Earthquake a bunch of times. Look at my damage. It's terrible. My damage is awful. And I've got like 6 Earthquakes on the ground. Look at that ground. It's just covered in Earthquakes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't do any damage. What you can do instead, I think, is pick a priority target that you want to kill with your Elemental Blast and hit it with the Frost Shock debuff so that it, at least that one target, I mean, your Frost Shock's going to splash, but the one target you're looking to kill, hit it with the Frost Shock, it has the Electrified Shocks debuff, and then Ellie blasts that sucker every time you get enough Maelstrom. And that is your spender, even in an AoE situation. The rest of your AoE damage is going to be taken care of by all the Lava Bursts that are going off. You can see right here, we're doing decent damage. We're almost keeping up with the Pally because we got a proc on our Ascendants, right? So we got AoE damage just from all the Lava Bursts that are going out. And then the rest of your damage is, of course, going to be funneling into one target. That is what you're going to end up doing. Here's the last trash pack where, again, I try to put Earthquakes on the ground, and it just doesn't do anything. Our damage is okay. Like, it's okay, but it's not amazing, right? 260. Look at the rogues doing 350. Like, we're keeping up with the pally right now. One thing that is really cool about this build is you're going to see by the end of this pull right here, we're going to start to pull ahead, because the less targets you have for Elemental Shaman, really the better it gets. And except when you get down to one target, it's not amazing. There's lots of other classes that have better single target damage than this, but if you're hitting that, like, that 4-target, 5-target amount, it's really, really strong, which is great. Lots of other classes have better uncapped AoE than we do, but we do have that really good, I would say, 4-target, 5-target cleave. Here's a smaller pull here. Once again, I think I'm trying Ellie Blast at this point. I think I've learned my lesson, and the damage starts to get a little bit better. Let me see if an Earthquake goes down here. Yeah, I think I'm Ellie Blast. The damage is a little bit better. Here's the next packet. This is really what I really want to highlight. So here's a pack of 5, and I've finally learned that I should just be pressing Elemental Blast. What you can do is you can funnel down either the Shield Bash guys who put the shield around everybody. You can funnel them down so that they die. Make sure that they die. You can see we're off to the races, doing a lot of damage right now. Or you could funnel the guys that are casting the Venom Blast / the Hex. You know, you can choose whichever one you want to do. But you have priority damage. Here comes my Frost Shock here. I've got the electrified debuffs on this enemy, and then I can Elemental Blast that guy, and it's going to do a lot of damage. It does a lot of damage. It's doing like 400,000 to 500,000 damage, and if it crits, it's like 600,000 to 700,000. Like, it's a lot of damage. So this is a more competitive pull for me, in my opinion, with this build. We're keeping up with the pally almost. By the end, we end up falling up, but that's okay. This trend is going to continue where we start to keep up. And a lot of the packs in a lot of different dungeons are structured this way, where you're fighting 4 to 5, maybe 4 to 6 mobs that are very important mobs to kill. Like, they're very important mobs that you make sure that you kill. You're not going to pull 10 or 20 mobs. It's like there's 5 mobs that have important spells that have to be interrupted, all that kind of stuff. That's a lot of the dungeons. So this build actually works really, really well for that. It doesn't have any uncapped AoE damage really at all, but it has pretty strong 4 to 5 target damage, in my opinion. Again, here's a moment where I'm trying to put Earthquakes on the ground, and it's really just not it. Like, the damage is okay. I think the damage numbers right now are carrying over from the previous fight, so this isn't a true representation here, but I'm telling you right now, it just doesn't have super good uncapped AoE damage, okay? But again, let me show you on the boss fight coming up here. This is like one of the best examples of where our 3 to 4 target cleave is so good. So on this fight, you can actually put Flame Shocks on 3 or 4 different targets, which is awesome. It means your damage will cleave because of the Primordial Wave cleave. So that's, like, awesome. This fight is, like, amazing for Elemental Shaman. Really, really good. I think it's also good for, like Priest, kind of like a Shadow Priest, or any sort of dot class that can dot multiple things. It's just so good because your damage just cleaves here, right? So I'm doing damage here. I get a bunch of damage on the totem. Then I'm switching to somebody else's totem because mine's about to die. I have my trinket as well. You can see we're pretty far out front in terms of the damage. I think I trinket that one in the back, and then I make sure that this is all dead. There we go. Now we trigger the boss. Now we're down to 1 target. So again, this is where we get Elemental Blast, and you can see I got an Elemental Blast right here that is going to reset with Aftershock, which is awesome. Here it comes right here. Ice Fury. Elemental Blast right here. Oh, I think I already got the proc on it. There it is right there. You can see it. Yeah. So the this is where I really, really like Aftershock versus Surge of Power. Of course, if you don't take Surge of Power, your ability to spread Flame Shocks is difficult. I will absolutely admit that. That is the biggest reason to take Surge of Power, is that you get that free Flame Shock spread. Like, you press your Primordial Wave, it casts an Elemental Blast for you, and then you get to spread another Flame Shock. I understand that, guys. I totally get that. But with Aftershock plus Elemental Blast, this build allows you to get resets on Ellie Blast over. Look at it, just happened again. Over and over and over again. I'm at full Maelstrom right now. I cast Elemental Blast right now. See, it's going to suck away half my Maelstrom. And then, boom, it goes right back up to full again because I got an Aftershock proc. That just continues to pump your single target damage and continues to layer the buffs that I have. The Elemental Blast buffs in the top of my screen, like, those are up, like, permanently in the dungeons that I run because of this build and how many Elemental Blasts you actually end up casting, besides the one that you get for free from Primordial Wave. So, again, my Ice Fury cooldown is down right now, but as soon as it's up, I'm going to press it and get the Electrified Shocks debuff on the enemy so that my Elemental Blasts are doing 15% more damage, which is huge. That's a really, really big deal. So there we go. I got it. He's got the Electrified Shocks buff. Now, the debuff lasts quite a while. You can spread out your Frost Shocks to make them last longer. Or you can use them right away to generate Maelstrom. It's up to you. Like, if you need Maelstrom in the moment, you can just press multiple Frost Shocks back to back to get the Maelstrom generation to get to your next Elemental Blast. Or you can spread them out over a long Tyrannical boss fight to make sure that he's got the debuff for as long as possible. And you can see right here, my Electrified Shocks debuff, the last one is wearing out right now on the boss, and my Ice Fury is only 5 seconds away. So you can actually spread the Electrified debuff, Electrified Shocks debuff, basically all the way into your next Ice Fury, which is kind of what you want to do on these big, longer boss fights. So there you go. We did a lot of damage on Volcal. That's really awesome. Another big AoE pull here. I'm getting wrecked by the other classes, of course, because we have prio damage. But again, I'm doing 300k. Like, it's okay. It's not bad. It's fine. But I'm focusing down this Sky Screamer while they're kind of wrecking all the little jumper guys, right? I'm not really worried about the little jumper guys. I'm mostly just funneling down the main target that I want to kill. And there, he's dead right there. So I think this build provides a really cool funnel kind of niche that you can bring. The damage is not horrendous on AoE, but it's not great. But the funnel damage is very good, and that's what I love about this, is that you can spread those Flame Shocks around, you funnel them into your Lava Bursts, and then those Lava Bursts give you Maelstrom. The Maelstrom converts into Elemental Blasts, and you can funnel down a single target that you want to destroy. And it will really help your team. If your team has a bunch of, like, AoE Smash Boys, that's really, really good. They can destroy the AoE packs, but you can funnel down some more of the single target. So I just really like that. I really love that it does that, and I think it provides a really cool niche. I also like having the extra Ice Fury cooldown on a 30-second cooldown instead of a 1-minute Stormkeeper. Stormkeeper doesn't really help you on boss fights at all. Right? Stormkeeper does amazing AoE damage, and if you get an Ascendance proc, you can do big lava beams. It's very, very cool. But it doesn't help you at all in single target, really. Those buffed, like, single target lightning bolts, they're just not it, man. They're really, really terrible. So this build, I think, gives you the extra added bonus of that 15% damage on single target. That's what I really love about this. It has some AoE implications, and it has some single target implications as well, which I think is awesome. Also, again, having a really big Maelstrom bar is super fun. Instead of 100, we have 150, right? So it just means that it's really smooth for our LE blasts. Every time we fill up our bar, we can do 2 elemental blasts. Instead of right now, with the current build that everybody's running, you only have 100 Maelstrom. So whenever you fill up your bar all the way to 100, you only get 1 elemental blast, and that takes you all the way down to 70 or to 25. And it just feels pretty smooth to me to have this ability to have 2 elemental blasts in 1 Maelstrom bar, and then you might get the Aftershock proc as well, which is super great. Super, super fun. Okay, let's go to the last boss. We have a mob here, a pesky mob. Oh, this is the best part in the dungeon right here. I'm running up the stairs, and then this is not my fault, okay? Look at it. Look at where I died. Look at this thing. He's over there. I'm over here. Hello? This game is rigged. It's rigged against Shamans. That's all I have to say about that. All right, here's the final boss. This is Yasma. This fight was a struggle for me as a caster. I think it's a struggle as a caster, like, just in general. This fight is great for melee because you're moving all the time. For a pure caster like me, this is a difficult fight, especially because I've got Elemental Blast, so it's not... I don't have the instant cast Earth Shock, right? I'm taking Elemental Blast, which is... It's okay, but it means I have a cast time. So you really have to make sure you utilize your Nature's Swiftness to get those instant cast Elemental Blast to make sure that you can move while casting whenever you need to. And, of course, you have to utilize Spirit Walker's Grace, which I already did. I've already cast it. And you have to make sure that you're just utilizing that as much as possible to increase your damage. But generally speaking, the damage here for me was not fantastic. The other guys kind of carried me through this last fight, which is great. Very happy about that. This is just a tough fight for casters in general. I'm just going to skip to the end so you can see the overall. Just want to see what happens here. Yeah, nothing crazy here. Spiders are spiders and spiders. There's spiders everywhere. Very, very, very long fight. Very annoying fight. I finally get to Lust because our Lust was... we were like ahead of the curve on Lust. This build does very, very well with Lust, of course, as well, because you have a cast time on Elemental Blast. So with Lust, the cast time on LE Blast is like 1 second instead of 1.7 or something. So it like dramatically increases your damage. We get really close to spiders. There's a moment here where I get really close to spiders. Is it here? It's here. Watch this. Watch this. Watch how close I get to the spider. I basically go inside the spider there. One more time. Sorry, one more time. Here we go. Watch this. Look at. Doop. I'm like, how do I not get hit there? And then I run over here. I can't see anything. And then I get out of dodge. It's so crazy. Last spider. There we go. Into the fight. And we did about 188 overall. So again, we were trying to keep up with a Ret Pally and an Outlaw Rogue. Both are very, very good. Both are very, very strong this week. So I don't think, I'm not disappointed that we were below them at all. I don't think this is necessarily the best build ever, but I just want to highlight the fact that Outlaw Rogue is in a particularly good spot right now, and I think Ret Paladin is as well. Ret Paladin is blasting. Every time I do a key with Bella, he's just like destroying me on the meters. So here's the damage overall. Lava Burst, of course, is going to be out front. That's the way it's always going to be. Elemental Blast is your second place. And then Frost Shock, again, doing about 8 to 10% of your damage. That's been my experience trying this in a few keys. And I did do a bunch of Earthquakes. Again, I think this was a mistake. I want to make sure in the next couple of keys that my Elemental Blast number goes up to like 20, 22%, and I just get rid of my Earthquake damage altogether, because I think that's just the better way to go. That is essentially how it works, and I think it has some interesting implications for us, particularly on this week with Tyrannical, where you're going to spend a lot more time on boss fights, and Stormkeeper is not going to help you in those boss fights at all, right? Your Stormkeeper is literally going to do nothing for most boss fights. So I really like the idea of this. I think the Electrified Shocks buff is really cool. Number one, Ice Fury and Frost Shock are going to generate a crazy amount of Maelstrom. You get 25 from the base of Ice Fury, and you get 14 per Frost Shock as well. That's going to get you back to pressing Elemental Blast. And, of course, we have 150 maximum Maelstrom now, so we can do 2 Elemental Blasts per bar that we have, which means our Aftershock is more likely to proc, and we're going to keep that Elemental buff, Elemental Blast buff going, right? The crit mastery or haste is just really, really good. I think it's really good. And I really enjoyed it quite a bit playing it. So I'm going to keep messing around with this and kind of see where it lands. I think this week it could be pretty good. Probably on Fortified weeks, it's like terrible because you spend more time in AoE. However, I was thinking, again, because this is like a priority target damage build, maybe it's actually okay in Fortified where you can just funnel down those really important targets, like an Abomination in Everbloom, those guys that do the big explosion, or whatever. You can think of lots of targets that need to be tunneled down. So that's it for me, guys. That's the build. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Would love to hear from you. I'm going to experiment more with this build. We're continuing to push some keys. I tried to do some 25s last night, and we just fell a little bit short. But I need to get 24s done on all of my Tyrannical weeks. We're going to get there. But thank you guys so much again for watching. I really love you guys for all this. Please drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this build. Let me know if you're going to try it in your keys. I would love to hear that as well. Thank you so much again. I will see you guys in the next one.